Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Terry, and in this video I'm going to show you how I set my ribbons in the Daily Roman Missal from Midwestern Theological Forum. Here's the ribbons as you see them. There's white, yellow, red, purple, green, and blue. And I am just using the system I use that I came up with on my own. I'm not sure how you're actually supposed to set the ribbons, so I just do them the way that works for me. Now, I don't use everything in the Missal every week because, hold on, let me fix the camera a second. Not everything in here goes for every week because it's a daily Missal, so certain sections are for certain times of year is what I'm trying to say. Let's see here. Here's the title page. Here's the ISBNs for the different editions if you want to pause that and write down the one of the version you like. This is the black bonded leather one. And then here's a quote from St. Jose Maria Escriva from a book called The Way on page 86. I don't have that book, but it looks like an interesting book. One day I got to look at a copy of it at Bible study. Here's the table of contents. But anyway, moving on to the ribbons. All right. I use the white ribbon for the first section leading up to the section for Easter. So this is still at that. Max, no, you can't come on camera yet. And then the yellow ribbon I have set to this Sunday. And then the red ribbon, so this Sunday all I'm going to need is these two ribbons, the yellow and the red. So this is the readings and entrance antiphon and the collect for Sunday. Now notice it says A, and then if I turn the page it'll say B, and then it'll say C. We're in year C, so after the collect I go to year C, and then it'll tell me what to do from there. So it's got the first reading, responsorial psalm, the second reading, and then the gospel, which is the same for all 3 years. And then after the gospel, it has the prayer over the offering, the communion antiphon, and it tells you, okay, so that's, let's see, where am I at? So it's got all that. But then the red ribbon I have set up for the order of Mass. Now this particular Missal, for anyone who's never seen it before, this is a Novus Ordo or English Mass Missal, but it also has the Latin, because there is a Latin version of the Novus Ordo Mass. So if you were to take this to a Novus Ordo Latin Mass, you could follow along with the Latin. I got it because I like Latin and enjoy reading Latin. I learned it in grade school. I didn't go to Catholic school, but I was in special ed in public school, and they decided to do an experiment on us to see if learning Latin would help us better at reading English, and the answer is no, because the two languages are very different. This is a Romance language. This is a Germanic language. So they're structured differently, and the vocabulary is very different, even though we do have some words in English that do come from Latin. So here's the English, here's the Latin, and it goes like that throughout the order of the Mass. Then the next section is ordinary time. So I need to set this to the beginning of ordinary time because ordinary time is going to be coming up pretty soon. So I will do that off camera. The green ribbon I have set to the proper of saints, so I have it set for Monday. And then this blue ribbon is for prayers and devotions. And there's also a reading here at the beginning of the prayers and devotions on how to be a better Catholic. Like it goes through like a summary of the catechism and some advice on how to grow spiritually. And then throughout this missal, there is some of this black and white art. Whereas this looks like a reproduction of possibly an icon, or it's a woodcut. I'm not sure which. I don't know enough about Catholic art. But yeah, that's how I set my ribbons. So at Mass, I mainly just use the yellow ribbon and the red ribbon right now, with it being the Easter time. So that's what I use for there. And then when we go to ordinary time, I will be using the purple ribbon. So then I'll be going between the purple and the red. And then for if it's a day where we need to do the proper of saints, I would also use the red ribbon. And if you're wondering where the white ribbon starts, here I'll show you where the white ribbon would start. Try not to bump the tripod. There's a forward in here if you want. If you have this missal, I would recommend reading it. I don't remember if I read that forward or the preface. I don't remember which one I looked at. But there might be advice in here on how to set the ribbons. Like here's how to use this missal. So it gives you some advice on how to use it. It gives you Sundays and solemnities, weekdays, and then abbreviations used in here. Abbreviations used for magisterial and other documents, and then the general Roman calendar. But where I set the white ribbon at the beginning, and there's this calendar, the cycle of readings. And it's got weekday readings, and year A is the year of Matthew, year B is the year of Mark, and year C is the year of Luke, and John is mixed in with the other three. Okay, proper of time Advent, that's where I would normally set the white ribbon at the beginning of the Christian year. But since we're close to Easter, since this was before Easter the last time I used the white ribbon, it's set to right before Easter. And then, so off camera, I'm going to be setting this back to Advent, and the purple one I'm going to be setting to the beginning of ordinary time. Now, ordinary time is broken into two parts in the year. The first part comes right after, I want to say it's Epiphany. From Epiphany to right before Lent. I have to double check that. But I know there is a brief bit of ordinary time before Lent. And then the rest of ordinary time is after Pentecost. So that's the best explanation I can do off the top of my head of how I use the ribbons in this particular missal. I know there are other videos on how to use the ribbons in this particular missal, and I do want to watch other people's videos, but I figured I'd make my own video before I watched how other people do it, just so I can have worked it out in my head exactly what I'm doing and see how it differs from what other people are doing. Now, if I remember right, all these different colors are the liturgical colors of the year. And I don't think this one is called purple. I think it's called something. Rose? I think it's called rose. I could be wrong on that. Somewhere in this missal, it does tell you the different colors. And then after that prayer section, if you're wondering what's in the very back of it, because I think it's been a while since I did a video on this, you got these indexes, like the index of illustrations, index of celebrations, index of prefaces, index of biblical texts. This one's probably going to be really long because this is a daily missal. Index of devotions and prayers. So if you want to find a particular prayer, this is a good way to look it up. And then this I think is appendix 2. Where does it say? Oh no, appendix. Yeah, appendix 2. This looks like it might be footnotes. Yeah, endnotes. Endnotes are the quotations of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So the endnotes on pages are just sections from the Catechism. And appendix 1 is antiphons during Easter time. So during Easter time, if you need to find the antiphons, they're right there on page 2474 in this particular edition of this particular missal. And on the back, it's got the Midwest Theological Forum logo and bonded leather black and the ISBN. So here is the ISBN for the one that I am using in post-production. Hopefully I can zoom into that and make that bigger. And then below it is the ISBN for the Burgundy one. ISBN stands for International Serial Book Number, if I remember correctly. It's a really good missal. It's nice to have year-round readings from Mass all in one volume, because I have a 3-volume set from Catholic Book Publishing, which is 3 volumes, and there's a Sunday volume and then 2 weekday volumes. It'd be nice if they would come out with a single volume edition. But I really do like this one because it's not that hard to figure out where you are. I think it's easier to figure out where you are in this one than it is in the one from Catholic Book Publishing. Because the one from Catholic Book Publishing, every year they come out with a booklet that tells you what pages you should be on. Whereas this one, I feel like it's easy because it just seems to follow the Christian calendar from the beginning of the Christian year with the first week of Advent to the last week of Ordinary Time right before Advent. So that's what I can think of to say about how I use the ribbons in this. And the pages feel like Bible paper. So they're not too thin, they're not too thick. I don't know how they would take the highlighters. If you're going to use a highlighter in it, I would say use a dry highlighter. Any highlighters or pens you're going to use if you're going to be putting any kind of notes or anything, I would try on these back pages before doing that. I don't plan on using a highlighter in this. I tend to use highlighters and pens in Bibles. I have a video coming up on my Catholic note-taking Bible to show you how I use that. And the kind of pens I use for in Bibles, and if I were to put symbols or notes in here of my own making, I use these Micron pens. I haven't opened this yet because I'm going to open this on camera in that Bible video. Normally, I couldn't find, where I bought these, I could not find the gauge of pen I prefer. But they have one that's very close to it. This is the .05, but I normally use a .005. But these are good too. A .01 I like to use for putting my name in the front of Bibles and the date that I got the Bible. I've never used an 03 before, but I have used an 05 before for putting some notes in a Bible. The Catholic Bible that I'm going to be putting notes in has, I think, 38 or 40 GSM papers, so this should work fine. And then as far as highlighters, I don't have them right next to me, but I use dry highlighters. Because I find dry highlighters will work whether the paper is really thin or really thick. But you do got to test it in the back to see how well it's going to bleed through the paper. I just thought I'd make a note of that because I know some people use books differently. So that's really all I can think of at the moment as far as that. I hope at some point this year to do a video on all the different missals that I have, because I have Novus Ordo ones and I have some TLM ones. I've never been to a TLM yet. I hope this year to finally go to a TLM, or even if I can't find a TLM locally, find one I can watch either on TV or online or through an app. Because I really like the Latin language. It's a beautiful language. It's an important part of Christian history. So that's my thoughts on that. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. And I think it's important to be praying for the Pope's soul, the repose of his soul, because I thought he was a really good Pope, and he seemed to really care about people. So hopefully the Cardinals will elect another Pope that is very caring. So we should be praying that the Holy Spirit guides them. I will see you in the next video.